Hello everybody. This is just a suggestion of the Quiz2 project answers. You can do the histograms and the table of frequency in many different ways. I'll show you how I did it actually to create your answers. I like to have the abilities to change the class width really quick, so I don't have, every time I open one of your Excel sheets, I don't have to struggle to see how many frequency on each one. And I will show you how I did this with a little bit of Excel programming with the if counts or count ifs. Okay, so this is the original data I give you. By the way, never erase the original data or play with it. So you notice that I didn't sort it over here, I didn't do anything over here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna start a new one over here to show you. I'm just gonna start a new worksheet over here. So by pressing at the new sheet, add a new sheet. Then I'm just gonna copy and paste the first shelf, because I wanna sort this by shelf and by sugars. So that's what I did over here. I store things by shelf and by sugars. Then before doing anything, it's my habit to sort, so I will just pick that and I will go to sort filter, then I will go to custom sort. Notice that I use custom sort over here, and notice that over here I didn't pick. When I pick things, be very careful if you have label or not label. If you notice, I didn't, over here I have my data has a label, so when I copy paste it from the previous worksheet, I have the label, so I will make sure that my data has a label. You see this? It's very important to say my data has a label. Notice that if you untick this, it will take shelf sugars as a data as well, which I don't really want. So if I tick it now, it will take away shelf and sugar. So it will start from the bottom over here. Then now how you want to sort? You start sorting by shelf first, then you add another label, then you say I want to sort by sugars. So you have two levels of sorting. So the first sort you want to sort by bottom, for example, and I always sort from ascending order from A to Z usually, and then I sort from smallest to largest. Then I will hit OK. And you notice that you have now your data is arranged by the shelf name. Then after the shelf name, it's assorted by your sugar number, or sugar, how many sugars you have, how many grams of sugar you have in each serving, and so forth. And you notice this is true for all. Why I'm doing this? Because I can do this manually. I can read how many, for example, in the bottom shelf, the frequency here. If I want to tally from 0 to 2, I can know how many scored from 0 to 2 grams, and so forth. Okay. So before we start doing anything with the data, because I noticed some of you were carried over by just doing the histograms and the frequency tables, you have a lot of questions over here. So it says identify the population and the sample, and in this scenario, so the population over here is all the cereal on the shelves inside that grocery store. So all the cereals on the shelves. So I didn't go, for example, in the back room of the store and I seen the cereal on the back room. So over here I'm just looking at the shelves. So my guess is the population over here is all the shelves on all the cereals on the shelves right now. Okay? Or when the nutritionist went and took the sample of the cereals. Now what is the sample? Is the 77 cereal that this nutritionist picked for this to collect these data for. So this is important to distinguish over here. Okay, so next question, it says what is qualitative, what's quantitative. So if you notice over here, just to go back, so you have a lot of data over here. So the qualitative data is the shelf, the name, the manufacturer, and the type. The quantitative data, the data with numbers that it makes sense. What are the numbers? Are the calories, because you can count the calories, you can count the protein, you can count the fat, you can count the sodium, you can count the fiber and the weight and so forth, and cup of serving and so forth. So all these are quantitative, from calories to cups in serving, and qualitatives are from shelf to types. Okay, the next question. Now we have a lot of open-ended questions over here in this project, and this is one of them. Now, my answer was, from my experience, I don't think that the shelf itself, let me just correct this, the shelf position is related to the nutrition contents over here. So that is my guess. I mean, this is from open end. You can there is no yes or no over here. Okay, now question 4 and 5, which was constructing the histogram and constructing the frequency table, and this is where people went really depending on how you're gonna do. So the first thing I did, I says, okay, what is my minimum and maximum for the bottom shelf? So I start from the bottom shelf over here because I sorted them ascending from the bottom. Some people I noticed start from the top. That's fine with me. So what you need to do is find the minimum value over here is 0, find the maximum value over here is 15, then find the number of classes, and he says he wants 6 number of classes, and he wants the class width always to be the same for all of them so that you can compare. If you notice over here, look at my histograms, all the bottom labels is the same, 0 to 2.6, 2.6 to 5.1, and so forth, all of them the same. So the audience, when they look at your graphs, they can compare really quick between them. You know, but if you put different labels, then you cannot compare between them. So over here, I found out my number of classes is 6. So what is the class width? The class width usually is the maximum minus the minimum over the number of classes, and I ended up with 2.5. So I tried doing it from 2.5, putting over here 2.5. I'll just show you something over here, 2.5, and then I will put the difference over here is 0.1 between them. So notice that if you go 2.5, then the class width has gonna go vertically. So vertically from 0 to 2.5 to 5 to 7.5 to 10 to 10 to 12.5. Notice that the last class don't have 15. So I want to have the 15. So what I can do, so I want just 6 classes. I don't want to add another 7th class. So what I can do, I can make the width a little bit longer so that it will contain the 15. So I will go back here and I will change this to 2.6. So this is one way I did it. So I said, okay, let's take 2.6. So now I have 0, 2.6, 5.2, 7.8, 10.4, and 13. And notice that the last class has the 15 inside it. Okay, so how did I automatize this? Well, I said, okay, if the first class will start from 0, and always the first class usually start from the smallest one. So notice that I put here manually the 0 where I want to start. You can put, if you don't want to put it manually, you can put it equal to and your minimum value. Here's my minimum value. You see, and I can do it F4. So I have that dollars over here. Then it is the same as 0. Then the next one, I will say I will add the class width, the big class width I will add. So I will add the 2.6. Notice that I refer to it. Why did I refer to it? Because I want to fill up. I want to use the fill up category here for all of them instead of doing it manually for each one. And notice that I put the $sign because I'm always going to use the 2.6. Okay, so I went here and I just did filling. Oops, sorry. I just did filling over here. So if you do any mistake, you do Control Z and it will go one step up. Let me do it again. You see here I did a mistake, so I want to go back. I just hit the arrow over here on the top, or you put Control Z, which will take you back to the previous step. So I don't want to actually copy the first one because the first one was just the same. I want to fill the second one, so I will refill the second one. And you notice it gives me the whole. Now the upper bound also, the first one I have to start manually. If you don't want to start manually, actually it's always smaller than the lowest bound. So it's smaller by how many? For example, I want to take it here 0.1. You can take anything, 0.01 or whatever you want. So I took it 0.1 because here I took it 1 decimal more. So it's 2.5, 2.6 over here. There is no intersection between the classes. And now the next one, I want to add to it the class width. So I added it to the class width. Then I went to the second one and I filled. Okay. Now the only problem left is the frequency. So the frequency here, how can I count the frequency? So for example, in the first class, notice here what I did the class labels. So the class labels is the labels will come underneath the bars over here, because when I want to grab them, the bars will have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't want it. I want it to have the labels I want to have as a class label. So I did this manually. I tagged this manually from 0 to 2.5 over here. I have to change it, 0 to 2.5, then 2.6 to 5.1, and 5.2 to 7.7, 7.8 to 10.3, and so forth. You see this? And this one also I have to change 0.5. I don't know why I did this. It's 0 to 2.5 over here. Okay. So now how I did the frequency? Well, I used a command called countfs. I really like this command a lot, and I like it more than using the data analysis tool, because I can play around with it really quick. So I put inside it countfs, and notice that I put inside it the range. So here he says put the criteria range, if you notice. So he wants the range, where is your data at? So my data is going to be in the bottom shelf. All this is my data. Then I will put the criteria I'm looking for. So what is the criteria? If I have any number more than or equal to 0 or less than or equal to 2.5, then count it. That's exactly what I'm saying. If I don't have any number of these inside here, then don't count it. And this is what it means, countfs. Notice that I use the S for Fs, not just F. If you use just F, it's one criteria. Over here I'm using two criteria, if you notice. The first criteria is more than the lower bound, more than or equal lower bound, and the second criteria is less than or equal the lower bound. So this is how I like to do it personally. Okay, so I did this. Then after doing this, then I came and copied it for the rest, and notice how it filled it up for the rest and moved to this. So it countfs more than 5.2, less than 7.7, it will count it for me. So now once you do this, it is very easy to do the graph, because all what you need is the frequency to do the histogram. So you pick up the frequency, just pick up the numbers. If you want to pick up the label, just make sure to insert a label when you pick up the table. So insert, and I will go to bar graph, and I will insert a bar graph. Notice that if I pick the frequency, he will write the label over here. He will write for me the label as a frequency, which I really didn't want to. So let's go back and change this. So Control Z just to go back. So I will just pick up the data, then I will put insert, and I will put the label over here, which is the chart title. You see over here. Notice that in your graph over here you have bar graph now, but the bar graphs for each one, it consider over here, instead of one, I want to put the class label, and also each bar graph will be for a class. So if you left click on over here and then right click to get the menu, then you will get select data, and in my data I will edit the labels to have my labels over here. Then I will say OK and OK, and you will notice my labels now on the x-axis has my class width. Now second thing you will need to do is add the axis titles and add the data labels. I want to see the labels here, so it is easier for me instead of the audience all the time looking for the horizontal grid lines. So the axis title over here, you can put label. So over here I can put the sugar classes, and over here I can put the histogram, the frequency or the tally. And the chart title is, this is going to be the bottom shelf. The last thing you need to do is just getting rid of the gaps. So if you hit on the graph, then left click on the graph one time. Let me close just this to show you. So if you click on the graph one time, then you click on the blue things, one time it will just pick it, but I want to click on it 2 times, so I have the options over there, so I will click on it 2 times.